A three-day retreat is expected to herald the minister's inauguration in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Some of the ministers will make do without portfolios though. Data feeds still coming through one place simultaneously. We'll focus on a few of them. Officials at the Abuja branch of Fidelity Bank allegedly facilitated the laundering of hundreds of millions of naira by the embattled former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdul Rashid Maina. He's wanted by the EFCC for graft. Details contained in the proof of evidence attached to the 35-count amended charge of stealing and money laundering against a former head of service, Steve Orosanye, and 5 others showed how the bankers, relying on telephone instructions and scanned email messages from Mr. Maina, helped him to move hundreds of millions of naira from the accounts to the 3 companies of some bureau de change operators. Will he be on the loose, or will he get on the hook of the EFCC? The former pension chief is widely believed to be hibernating abroad, away from the EFCC at the moment. But what do you know? He fights back, faulting the State Crimes Commission for declaring him wanted. Will he face fresh charges in the 2 billion pension scam? What if he panics and becomes critically ill, like some others facing criminal charges? What next then? The president of the Nigerian Senate announced 65 standing committee chairmen of the upper house, with his rivals in the contest for the Senate presidency in June. Ahmed Lawal emerging as chairman of Defense Committee. Kabiru Marafa, who also opposed him, was named chairman of the Committee on National Population Commission. What a twist. In all this, the APC got the chairmanship of 41 committees to the PDP's 24. Some ad hoc committees were also named. There is more. After weeks of ministerial screening, Dr. Saraki submitted declared lists of ministers to President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa, breaking past protocols that required presidential aides to transmit the letter from the president and back. What has changed? Does this suggest an end to perceived friction between the two? The Senate president is currently facing charges of alleged false declaration of assets and corruption. He dismissed the charges as politically motivated. At his latest court hearing, his team of lawyers staged a walkout over alleged judicial rascality on the part of the tribunal. Will this anger the tribunal in a case already in the Supreme Court? A seeming Cold War and mutual suspension between the camp of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, and the House Leader, Femi Gbajabiamila, looms. Many hope it won't spiral into yet another clash, this time over the composition and appointment of chairpersons of the House committees. Already, APC members are dissatisfied with the composition of the committee, saying that it favors the opposition PDP. They are also concerned the development which saw PDP members appointed to some key committees, including works, petroleum resources, aviation, the army, etc., could sabotage the change mantra of President Muhammadu Buhari. What does this mean to the party and the people? Tweet at me. Let me know your thoughts on the subject. Mr. Gbajabiamila, the leader, accused Mr. Dogara, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, for undermining him and other principal officers whom he said were not consulted ahead of the appointments. How will this play out in the coming days? We will be watching though. A new report published this past Tuesday by Amnesty International and the Center for Environmental, Human Rights and Development, CEHRD, said that multinational oil company Shell lied when it claimed it had cleaned up heavily polluted areas of the Niger Delta. In the report titled "Clean It Up: Shell's False Claims About Oil Spills in the Niger Delta," documents ongoing contamination at 4 oil spill sites. Shell said it had cleaned up years ago. Does this in any way derail the cleanup of Ogoni Land's 30-year plan? When will it take off? Data feeds still coming through in one place simultaneously. A federal high court in Abuja, presided over by Judge Adeniran, has ordered the immediate release of the international passport belonging to former National Security Advisor who needs medical treatment abroad. Sambo Dasuki is currently standing trial for alleged possession of firearms and money laundering. He denies the charges though. The story takes a new turn. The EFCC have placed him under house arrest. And what do you know? All of a sudden, government corruption fighting agencies come alive in the war on corruption. One of the most fraudulent crude oil deals executed by the previous administration is uncovered. The deal saw a campaign official and some other persons of the former president smiling to the bank with up to 50% compensation from the proceeds of a foreign crude oil lifting contract, turning them into instant billionaires. In the middle of the shady deal is a Nigerian oil and gas company, Sarab Energy, which acted as middleman in the crude oil sale between Nigeria and the Zimbabwean and the Zambian governments, that is. The company's directors at inception, according to records of the Corporate Affairs Commission, were Nimi Bariga Amange, a former People's Democratic Party senator from Bayelsa. He served from 2007 to 2011. He also served as Director of Planning, Research and Strategy for Dr. Goodluck Jonathan's re-election campaign in 2014. Silva Obogo, a retired Brigadier General, Atman Ekpene, the Managing Director of the company who executed the deal, and Ogba Properties and Investments Company Limited, a company whose real ownership remains unclear. It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation. I am Gimba Omar. You're watching State of the Nation. Data feeds still coming through real time on all our social media platforms, channelstv.com, youtube.com/channelsweb. Visit m.channelstv.com for a live stream. The president stunned many, especially the opposition PDP, when he said the truth must be told to Nigerians. The loudest phrase in his statement is that Nigeria is broke. 27 states requested bailout packages valued at over ½ trillion naira. The president said that some ministers will not have portfolios attached to them. I'm being joined on State of the Nation by Mr. Debo Adeniran, the Chief Executive of Coalition Against Corrupt Leaders. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on State of the Nation at this time. What do you make of this situation? Mr. President, in his latest statement, said that Nigeria is broke and the government is blocking all loopholes, draining the country's resources. Now the ministers, on the second hand themselves, are starting off, at least some of them, without portfolios. Is this part of a cost-cutting plan and blocking of loopholes that may likely change the broke status of Nigeria?
It is good that the president has decided that he's going to tell Nigerians and indeed the whole world the truth about the state of Nigerian economy and situation. And that is the least we expect from a president that came to power on the integrity mantra, because hitherto our successive leaders have been telling us lies and make us to believe that we are strong, where in actual fact we are weak. That is going to put some ministers in place without portfolio is not yet confirmed. It's still at the realm of speculation. And until it makes it public, which ministers are going to run with portfolio, which ones are going to run without portfolio, we cannot conclude that it really meant that aspect. But all the same, blocking the loopholes does not lie with the ministers alone. Like we said in Kakol, they have made a statement that, look, reducing the number of ministers doesn't necessarily reduce the number of corruptive tendencies from whoever is put into power. The plugging of leakages from the national coffers has to do with political will of the president, of Mr. President, in establishing an effective working relationship with the National Assembly. If they are working with one mind under the same principle of managing the resources we have to satisfy the needs of the majority of the people, then we can effectively block the loopholes. The president has nominated a couple of ministers, that have different, criminal baggages on their neck, and they are yet to discharge themselves of those baggages.
What then would you advise Mr. President when it comes to fighting corruption in his cabinet?
Well, the first thing to do is to ensure that those that are going to work with him are not with corruption or similar offenses on their neck. And if they have allegations or indictment on them, they should ensure that those people discharge themselves of such encumbrances before they are made to become full-fledged minister. If he works with people of doubtful character or doubtful integrity, they are likely to stain the record of the regime. And that will be the first point of call for those who want to perpetrate corruption in his regime.
Tell me, does it bother you at all that the opposition, the PDP, wants that President Muhammadu Buhari is demarketing Nigeria?
Well, I don't believe that the president is demarketing Nigeria. I believe that even saying things the way they are, we actually strengthen the confidence of even foreign investors on the capacity of the regime to tell them the way things are, not to deceive them into establishing, businesses in Nigeria that is likely to be run by those or people of shady character.
What would you say is the way forward in all of this?
The way forward is for the present president, Muhammadu Buhari, to see himself more as a revolutionary and should not give in to all these political considerations. He should develop that political will to step on toes and do things that are needful. He should ensure that everybody that wants to work with him key into his own principle of declaring the assets and making such asset declaration public, so that we, the civil society, we, the civil populace, will be able to assess all of those who are governing us to the extent that by the time they get out of office, we'll be able to compare what they have accumulated within the period they remain in the office. And during the period, also, the government should ensure that the National Financial Intelligence Unit of EFCC is strengthened. It can even be made a separate agency that will monitor the progress every corporate organization and every individual that works in government or in private sectors are making. When they accumulate wealth, they should inform the National Financial Intelligence Agency so that we know when they got to where. Not that all of a sudden somebody will be swimming in multi-billion naira estate and property. That will not be acceptable. That a national ideology should be developed that will put upper ceiling into how much both those who are working in the public and the private sector can accumulate for themselves.